I'm really excited about our next guest. He's a bit of a legend. You might have heard of him. He was the 13th World Chess Champion. He's the chairman of the Human Rights Foundation, and his name is Garry Kasparov. Please welcome him to the stage, as well as our moderator, Devin Coldway.
Thank you for joining us, Mr. Kasparov.
Thank you. Good morning.
So you have a new book out, and
Yes.
it's very interesting. I read it all, and in it you talk about the origins of many concepts of AI that we're familiar with now, and how they sort of have their genesis in the history of chess. Why do you think that chess has been such a fruitful testbed for these ideas in people?
You know, I think it's natural that for the founding fathers of computer science, for Alan Turing, for Claude Shannon, chess wasn't kind of ultimate test because the game was there for a long time, and traditionally people believe that playing chess is a sign of great intellect. So for them, making a machine playing chess and eventually winning a chess game against top players and even world champion would be an ultimate accomplishment.
Yeah.
And I have to say that they spend a lot of time by using chess for practical purposes. Few people know that Alan Turing wrote the first chess playing program in 1952. The problem, there was no computer to run it, and he just used a piece of paper to calculate the moves.
A theoretical machine.
Yes, exactly, a theoretical machine. And in 1997, the dream came true. But as a matter of fact, Deep Blue, that played the match, IBM supercomputer, I lost the match to Deep Blue 20 years ago, and the book was timed for its 20th anniversary. I always want to remind people that I won the first match.
You did, yeah. It was really the rematch.
To be fair, Deep Blue was not intelligent unless you consider the output, the definition of output. In this case, grandmaster level chess, intelligence. Then yes, but in the broader sense, Deep Blue offered us very little of input into the mysteries of human intelligence.
Yes, and even in the mysteries of chess, inhuman was a phrase you uses the word inhuman a lot to describe the way it moved, the way it's played. And I've heard that term a lot when strong players play against strong AIs. They talk about its gameplay style being inhuman. Can you explain why that is?
You cannot solve chess because, in theory, it's a mathematically infinite game. The number of legal moves is 10 power 45, more than number of atoms in the solar system. But it's not about solving the game, it's about winning the game. And the machines are unbeatable today, and I can say that it was either my curse or my blessing that I became world champion at a time when machines were very weak. I left professional chess when machines were unbeatable. Because humans cannot play the same steady game. We are well vulnerable. We can make mistakes or even inaccuracies, which are not so important in the games between humans, but with machine you will be immediately punished for any loss of vigilance. So machines are better than humans, whether it's chess or AlphaGo, but it doesn't mean that they can solve these games.
Right. And you just use humans are better than machines as well. This is part of something you come back to frequently is Moravec's paradox. In this idea that...
Oh, yeah, exactly, yes.
Not everybody may be familiar with it, you might...
Yeah, but it's again, in chess, you can actually see that while machines dominate the game because of the brute force of calculation, and they can crunch chess once database got big enough and hardware got fast enough and algorithms got smart enough, but there's still many things humans understand. So machines don't have understanding, machines don't recognize the strategical patterns, and machines don't have purpose. And it's quite important that we should find a way to bring together this I believe complementary skills, to combine the skills. And while licking my wounds after loss to Deep Blue, I thought, why not to bring us together and just what I call advanced chess. Now they call freestyle chess, where you can have humans playing with machines, either machine assisting humans or other way around, and creating a new combination that could work well even beyond chess.
Now that chess is not a solved game, but one where a computer is basically unbeatable, do you think that there is another game or another environment that has become the new chess for AI, the new test bed where there's Go, obviously.
Yeah, it is the difference between Deep Blue. As I said, it was as intelligent as your alarm clock. They're okay. Losing to $10 million alarm clock didn't make me feel any better. AlphaGo is a new generation of what you may call AI, because again, Deep Blue was nothing but AI. But the problem with AlphaGo that you have many versions of self-learning program, and you cannot identify why program 5, not the iteration 5, is better than iteration 10.
Yeah.
With Deep Blue, if you have a couple of hundred years to spare, you can actually go to the bottom of every decision.
Yes.
And you can find out, why certain move was made. With AlphaGo program, you can only guess. And I think that's just one of the biggest challenges with the new generation of AI, that we will not be able to identify why things went wrong, so how to debug it, because it's literally the black box. And I think this is one of the greatest challenges that we'll be facing.
Yes, indeed. Have you ever played Go, by the way?
I know the rules, but I try to stick to chess.
That's probably good.
By the way, there are many other versions of chess across the world, including the Japanese chess called shogi. I know the rules, but I prefer our European version.
All right.
I feel most comfortable with.
Well, I hear you're pretty good at it, so. On the topic of humans and computers complementing each other, you were optimistic, the way many of us aren't, about millennials, basically. Essentially, the idea that young people embrace technology, especially communications technology, in a way that we find frightening, us old people, basically.
You're old, yeah?
I'm old.
Yeah, I'm 54, come on.
So you're optimistic about that, but you're also critical about some of your students, the chess players, who overly embrace the computer's moves, and they don't understand why they did things. And Magnus Carlsen, of course, is a big exception to this.
Yes.
But I'm curious about this tension between your ideas.
There is something called progress, and certain things are inevitable.
I've heard
but there are obviously, consequences. And one of the consequences that you just mentioned is that young players, and it's not only about chess, I think it goes beyond chess, but in the game of chess, working with young rising stars, grandmaster level players, I could see it very clearly that they were almost hijacked by the machine. They looked at the screen and they always wanted to find a solution. Instead of trying to use machine, as Magnus Carlsen did when I worked with him, and I'm sure he still does it, just to prove your point of view, to confirm some of your strategical expectations, they're looking for solution. And I think that happens across the board with people in all walks of life. We are paralyzed by the machine. We believe that the answers are there, and we just have to push more buttons, to slide finger a few more times,
yes.
and the answer will be there. So I always want to quote Pablo Picasso, who said, computers are useless because they can only give you answers. And the life begins with the question, and the search begins with the question. And if we're looking for new ideas, for new horizons, we have to find the right questions. And here, machines are not very helpful yet.
Yes, indeed. You touch a lot on this in the book, and there was a lot of very interesting quotations. I do highly recommend the book, by the way. And as you say, we're paralyzed by the machine in how we want to use it, but we're also, when we look into the future, a lot of the conversation about AI and computers is sort of hand-wringing and panicky. Is that justified, or is this fear justified, or is it holding us back?
No, it's easy to scare people off talking about the bleak future, and Hollywood made a great contribution. Movies like The Terminator, The Matrix. So we think about the future. It's us versus the machines. We're in the race against the machines in a fight or even at war. I think it's wrong. Because if we are pessimistic, many bad things can happen. It's not just academic discussion, because future is a self-fulfilling prophecy. If we are pessimistic, if we're negative, we're not investing enough, we're not looking for opportunities that could be produced by bringing AI into our lives. I think the problem is not that AI is threatening our livelihood. It's another cycle. Machines have been constantly replacing all sorts of jobs, starting with farm animals and then manual labor. And again, the world hasn't stopped. we should not talk about jobs being lost, but about people suffering. It's very important to remember that we have to look for new opportunities. But in my view, the biggest challenge is not that the jobs being lost, but the challenge is that they're not being lost fast enough. Because unless you have a cycle moving fast, you will not be able to create new sustainable jobs. You will not be able to generate economic growth that will help to replace jobs that are being lost. And AI, it's just another challenge. The difference is that now intelligent machines coming after people with a college degree, political influence, and Twitter accounts.
Yes, exactly. The jobs that are being lost are now suddenly they're valuable.
Yeah, absolutely. So I speak at many conferences, financial advisors and people from all sorts of white-collar jobs, and they are concerned. All of a sudden, they're concerned. But I believe that every profession will have to feel this pressure, because automation will help us to move forward. And again, it's called progress. I understand the consequences, but every coin has two sides.
Yes. And the other side of this one is that so many companies these days seem to, well, companies and people, we're all sort of susceptible to this idea that because AI, the new concepts of AI are so powerful, and because they have already accomplished so much, we apply them everywhere, and we think that they can solve anything. We were talking about fake news, basically, and the idea that we've had this huge problem with fake news, and then Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg come out and say, oh, well, we'll solve it with AI. But AI is part of the problem too, because it was the algorithm, it was the machine intelligence that produced the problem in the first place. I mean, not entirely, obviously, but
excellent point, because it's, as you said, AI was the source of the problem, because automation helped to create this fake news and to multiple them and just to poison the virtual reality and spread them around. And I think that if we look at the at this problem, at this battlefield, relying only on AI is a losing proposition, because you will be always losing if you are on defense. AI versus AI in the fake news industry will never win. You will need humans to help to identify the problem. And by the way, Facebook also is hiring thousands of people now to help AI to fight fake news. This is one of the areas of this cooperation. And I think it's now, while we are concerned, people are freaking out about AI just taking over some industries. It's 10, 20 years from now, our kids probably will be looking at us saying, wow, was it a time when people did drive cars?
Yeah.
So are you sure? Look at the
Seems dangerous.
Look at the statistics, This is the most number of people killed in the car accidents, so how could you do that?
Like,
so,
you really took place dead in the most dangerous activity in the world?
Yes, exactly. So I think it's important to understand that it's this, right now, at the time of the competition, the point of the competition, we're all concerned. Oh, it's so bad, it's so dangerous. But then it becomes normal, it becomes trivial, and then we move to a new level. I think the challenge is for us to always be creative, because certain things we can do, and machines I don't think will ever be able to replicate. It's things that involve emotions, passions, and by the way, purpose. I want to emphasize that even with all the algorithms on the world, machines will not have purpose, since probably we don't know, how to explain it. And one of the rules is anything that we know how we do, machines will do better.
Yes.
But there's still many things that we do without knowing how we do, and that's here where we can excel.
Yes, that's you sort of succinctly said the AI is often defined as whatever computers haven't done yet.
Yep.
And do you think that there's anywhere where we do have to be wary of AI, where we should be worried about where it is taking over instead of humans or something like that? Any specific areas you think?
Look, the problem is that says we can make all the guesses about the future,
yes,
and most likely we'll be wrong. that's when, again, I look in the past, and technology always deceives us. So we made predictions, and most of those predictions, they went wrong because we tried to base these predictions on our past experience. Mm-hmm. But speaking about the future in this fast-changing world, it's quite counterproductive, because our experience it's more like a liability, because we are not ready to predict what's happening. For instance, you look at some of the lucrative jobs today, like drone pilot or 3D engineer or social media manager. These jobs didn't exist 15 years ago. So how can we make predictions about 10, 15 years from now? And sometimes people talk about, oh, in 50 years, in 100 years, AI could do this. I don't care. because we should look at immediate problems. There will be other problems like overpopulation of Mars. An important problem, but maybe we can wait before discussing this. Yes.
We can wait a few minutes, yeah.
Yes.
So, of course, in addition to your long and illustrious career in chess, you're the chairman at the Human Rights Foundation.
Yes, I am.
I'm curious about technology's role, if you've seen this, technology's role in helping communities that you've tried to help. You've mentioned bringing computers to small towns in Russia. You've brought back computers, and that's how that's improved the chess playing.
That was long time ago.
That was a long time ago, but
Yeah.
there must be equivalents of that. But of course, technology is not a panacea either.
No, it's not a panacea. It's a double-edged weapon, because the whole notion that information will inevitably lead to an open society, this notion has failed recently, because we could see regimes like Putin's regimes, or Iranians, or Chinese, or even North Koreans. They use technology, by the way, invented in the free world, to undermine the very foundation of the free world, and of course to topple the dissent in their own countries. So it's not automatic, and while we still should rely on open society and to spread of these ideas, we should realize the dangers of internet and the free space being polluted by the fake news and by the misinformation run by the states. Namely, of course, Putin's regime that is so sophisticated, not just in polluting the internet with the fake news, but also meddling with elections in the United States and across Europe.
Yes, and you, of course, have been a vocal opponent of Putin and sort of by extension at this point Trump. But I'm curious, having experienced the sort of depredations of that regime, how does it differ? Like, many of us certainly have not experienced that kind of direct interference with our internet connections, what we have access to, our communications. Like, we live in we're very privileged to live in a free country, and many of us have not experienced that kind of oppression. Can you tell us a little about what you've experienced and how you've tried to change that in your career?
Look, many people thought that Putin regime would not be as dangerous as the Soviet Union, the communist dictatorship, because it didn't have an ideology. In fact, just because it didn't have an ideology to sell, it's even more dangerous. Because Putin doesn't care who he supports outside of Russia to spread chaos and to create more uncertainties and to undermine democracy as an institution and even as a concept, to spread doubts both in the free world and back in Russia, pointing out at the chaos in America or in Europe, saying, look, this is what you wanted for free and fair elections, forget about it. Because Putin is so flexible and he can wear many hats, he can support any force that is going against status quo, whether it's a far left or ultra-nationalists. And that makes him very dangerous. And he's not shy of using enormous financial resources and access to these technologies. And he's always looking for his counterparts, like the one that is now is in the Oval Office, to participate in this process of dismantling the world order and moving away from the system that guaranteed prosperity and security after World War II.
The system, of course, can't guarantee prosperity, but I think that at least with technology and the internet and communications, we can guarantee communication, which is so essential to democracy. I think that that's at least something that has been very disadvantageous for Putin's regime, is that so much of what he does gets out. We hear about it, and it is internationally frowned upon, although it has apparently little effect.
No, but I think we should, may sound ironic, but we should probably praise Donald Trump for as a waking up call. It's a very important, because it's a catalyst. Trump, brought many young Americans into politics. People realize that it's not enough to be on the internet. You have to participate.
Yeah.
So it's very important. So you may call it a disruptive technology. And it's in fact, I think long-term it will work in our favor, in favor of democracy. And I think one of the important messages is that let's realize that we have phenomenal opportunities to use these technologies to do great things. And we have to participate. We have to be engaged. And for the young people who are just, concerned that, oh, what can we do? Everything has been already revealed, discovered, so we can be only consumers. My response is that, guys, you carry in your pocket or in your purse a device which is 1,000 times more powerful than the crazy supercomputer in 1976. Think how we can use it, think how you can participate, and just to create better reality. And things will happen in the future anyway, and if we just, if we know what we want to do, if we know how to use these massive powers in our hands, I remain an uncured optimist.
Well, me too. You've convinced me. Well, Mr. Kasparov, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.